if you're stuck, you're usually very frustrated. So I kind of see it as like a ladder. Like you can't really jump from frustrated or angry to I'm just so positive about my game is going so great, right? So like just getting to a place that's really neutral.
Welcome back to the Talk at Elevation, where we dive into the mindset, moments, and stories behind high performance. Today's guest is someone who has competed at the highest level of golf for over 15 years. From the LPGA Tour to the Olympics and the Solemn Cup, Sandra Gal has experienced the pressure, discipline, and growth that comes from elite performance. Now she's taking everything she's learned and bringing it to others through golf school, helping people master not just their swing, but their mindset, confidence, and consistency under pressure. Sandra, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, let's talk about the beginning. When did you start playing golf? When did you fall in love with it?
I started playing golf when I was about 6 years old. I got a set of plastic gloves and my dad just got me into it. And really what got me hooked was just driving the golf cart. It wasn't
So fun.
yeah, at that part it was kind of, the most exciting thing about it. And then as the years went by, then obviously I really loved, the way it feels to hit a great shot and be around teammates and all the other things that come with it.
That's awesome. And what did it look like coming up? What did college, high school, all that look like?
So in Europe, we don't have high school sports. So I competed at the club level and then joined the national team. And then when I was 19, I went over to the US and got a scholarship for college. And that was kind of the start, yeah.
Where did you go to college?
University of Florida.
Okay, very cool.
Nice.
That's a nice place to go.
Yeah, lucky you.
Yeah, I know, very lucky and warm. Not those cold winters like we do in Germany, yeah.
What part of Germany are you from?
Düsseldorf.
Okay.
So it's
I
about
wish I knew it was.
Frankfurt, not too far away.
Okay, yes. So yeah, definitely a little bit warmer.
For sure.
So after 15 years on tour with the LGPA, when did you realize golf was more mental than physical?
Very early on. I would say that consciously realizing it was probably 2 years in when I really struggled. And I started reading a few books that were kind of self-help books that weren't even really directed at golf. And it really opened a whole new perspective on life and also on the way I approach the sport. And from there on in, it was very much for me mastering that mental side and kind of overlapping definitely a little bit into some spiritual insights as well.
How hard is it to tap into that mental side of things while you're swinging the club?
Yeah, and then going to the next hole and just having to forget about the last shank you had or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a whole conglomerate of things and like skills that you need to learn, obviously. And they all revolve around staying in the present and managing your emotions and being very aware of where your attention is and what you're feeding, what energy you're feeding. So obviously you can't be upbeat all the time, but like how do you manage from having a bad thought to coming back to neutral? How do you manage being frustrated and coming back to neutral? And then you have those days that are just, very smooth and you just are in a great mood and they just flow, right? So it's like a whole combination of things that you kind of learn. And a lot of these things are, trained off the course as well, so how you spend your days training, obviously, and just thinking about who you are as a player and your kind of perception of yourself.
Yeah. You talked about that flow and that flow state. What does that actually feel like and look like? And how can someone tap into that?
Great question. When I look back at my career, those flow states or rounds are the ones that I remember most vividly and most fondly because it's just such almost like an altered state that you get in and
Right.
really hard to recreate. But then when I started looking at what creates those moments, it's actually kind of a set of parameters that really make sense of why they happen. So you have to have a very clear goal. You have to be free of distractions, be very focused. It needs to be intrinsically motivated. So it's something that gives you joy without needing the outcome. It has to be something that is just the right amount of difficulty. So it can't be like too difficult so you get anxious, and it can't be too easy where you're like, I don't really care.
Right, you get
So it
bored.
just needs to be like the right amount of like challenging to keep you focused.
Sure.
Yeah, so those are kind of the main aspects of getting into it.
That's awesome. So, what inspired you to start golf school and work with people outside of professional golf?
Well, I think the way I applied what I learned to my own life and seeing how many others really struggle with stress and with not being able to focus and kind of enjoying what they're doing, I felt like golf is such a great vehicle to show you like in real time what how you're thinking, what state you're in, that bringing it into the corporate world would just be the perfect next step to help a lot of people just kind of finding a bit more peace.
Before we move on, let's talk about something every serious athlete needs to pay attention to: your digital footprint. Fan-Day Nation has just released a powerful new tool to help athletes make sure their social media profiles are fully optimized and recruit ready. Today, coaches aren't just evaluating game film, they're evaluating character, leadership, and maturity online. This resource gives you a step-by-step roadmap to clean up your profiles, highlight your strengths, and avoid common mistakes that can cost opportunities. If playing at the next level is your goal, don't leave your online presence to chance. Go check it out now at fandaynation.com.
And what are some of those people in the corporate world, struggling with that golf helps them?
Well, it would definitely be, I think, the distraction is a big thing, with our phones like constantly beeping and constantly getting notifications and being overwhelmed with information. So having the ability to kind of put it aside for a certain amount of time and really getting into a good state that's not anxious, that's, kind of one of those higher states. They're called renewing feelings. It could be gratitude, something like that. So I think that really helps a lot with not only focus, but productivity, anxiety, your ability to sleep well. There's so many benefits to it.
Yeah, for sure. Just going into that corporate world thing, I want to ask you, why do you think so many business deals are made on the golf course?
Great question.
Well, you spend a long time out there, right? And you have all these between shots where you can talk, and also, you get a really great sense of who someone is on the golf course. The way they react to a missed shot or putt. tells you all
Yes.
about that person.
Start jamming the club in the ground.
Yeah, I think it's just a very social sport in general.
For
Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
The best thing is that everyone can play it too. And that's not a lot of sports are like that.
No.
Exactly. You can have a great level player play against a beginner and you just give him some shots and you have a game.
So you focus on mental routines, the short game, on-course strategy. Why are those the biggest game changers for players?
Yeah, I mean, it's the mental side of things, I think it's the absolute foundation of how you go about doing anything, whether it's golf or anything else. You could have a perfect swing, but if you're mentally not confident or you don't have your awareness at the target, you're not going to hit the ball there, right? So that side, I think, is just hugely important, and is what helped me win and what helped me do really well in my career. Short game, gets you out of trouble. So
That's what they say.
you can save the bad days. Yeah, I think that's just a gap that a lot of players have in their games, where they're don't put a lot of thought into strategy and just thinking your way smartly around a golf course.
Yep, fair enough.
So tell us a little bit more about your retreat in the golf school, all that.
Yeah, it's for now we're doing 2-day retreats, and they kind of start with the flow and the mental side of things and incorporate some meditations as well. And we also use a biofeedback device. So that's like real time monitoring if you can get into the right state or not. And also figuring out what gets you into that state. There's like a million ways how to be able to get into a calm state. And so it's individual for everyone. So we need really take time to figure that out. And then you can use golf as a vehicle. In the afternoons, we'll go on the golf course and we can still use that biofeedback device and we can figure out ways how it works under a bit of pressure, right? So when you have those corporate environments, people are under lots of pressure and they have to make, real-time decisions very fast. So what's the best state you can be in? And you can really train that on the golf course, like so naturally. So the first half of the day is dedicated to getting familiar with that. And the second half of the day is like, how can you test it in the situation on the golf course? And then we also, of course, do the short game and, get involved in the golf, whether if it's more private people, we focus more on the golf. If it's more the corporate, we really want to kind of see how you can apply it.
That's awesome.
Well, I need one of those in my everyday life.
Yeah, me too.
I know. I'm loving it. Yeah.
That's really cool.
So for someone who feels stuck or inconsistent in their game, what's the first mental shift that they need to make and that you would introduce to them?
Oh, that's a really great question. I would say if you're stuck, you're usually very frustrated. So I kind of see it as like a ladder. Like you can't really jump from frustrated or angry to, I'm just so positive about my game. It's going so great, right? So like just getting to a place that's really neutral. And it doesn't have to feel like you're making a great step there, but it's one of the most important ones. Like just getting into your body, feeling your legs, feeling, your legs on earth, just feeling grounded and not spinning in your head. So that's a lot of the work we do is also getting out of your head and into your body. That's how you can very easily access just a more grounded, calm state. And it doesn't need to be excited, euphoric, anything special. It's just present. So if you're just present with your frustration or present with where you're at in the moment, that's already a huge win.
We're proud to celebrate women who lead on and off the court. Nico Stones welcomes new brand ambassador Sophie Zidell, a standout basketball player at the University of Colorado. Her exclusive edits is all about confidence, strength, and the style that moves with you. Support women in sports and shop Sophie's limited collection now at nicostones.com. How did you use those techniques when you were growing up playing golf? Playing in those hard competitions and then getting to the top level you can get to.
So when I was growing up, I think a lot of it was very intuitive. I didn't, unfortunately, have anyone that taught me this, I think, which is why I'm so passionate about it now. And then I figured out a lot of these things along in my professional career. It was just figuring it out by trial and error and reading books and talking to people. But a lot of it was trial and error. So I feel like I'm just very observant and always very curious. So there might be just a little bit out of the box things that work.
What was the biggest challenge you found after doing those trials and error where you finally were like, oh, I did it. Like I felt that change. I felt the
Got
flow
over the
state.
mountain.
Yeah.
The biggest challenge is to replicate it. You're like, I found something, and now you want to do it the same way every single time. But then you learn, you're not the same person every single day, and you need to adapt, right? So there's days, obviously, as people, and especially as women, too, we have our ups and downs, right? And
Yes.
so how can we find the right ingredients that make these flow states more accessible? And that was another challenge, right? That's definitely something everyone needs to figure it out, and that's
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for any of our viewers watching right now, growing up, trying to get to that next level, play golf at college, getting into those scholarships and things like that, what's the biggest advice you would give them that maybe you did or you didn't do back in the day or you wish you would have?
I think one thing I got taught by one of my coaches that's really stuck with me is to do your own thing, as in like That's translated from German, but kind of like stick to your path and stick to your like truth. Even if it's uncomfortable maybe and you stand out or you're made fun of. Like I've had a lot of that, growing up where I just felt like I was a little bit different and maybe did things different and I doubted myself. And he always said, Sandra, stay true to who you are. And I kept doing that and eventually succeeded, where I think a lot of people get intimidated or they don't quite follow through on what's really there. And what I learned, I mean, that's something I did, but also had to learn at the same time.
And then Sandra, just another question for you. So our company, Fanday Nation, is all about being seen. We want to make sure everyone, gets to get to their full potential in life. What does being seen mean to you?
Being seen. Yeah, well, it's a big question. I think being seen means being authentic in who you are and being seen in that. Which is tough nowadays. But I think it's getting better. I think people are being more open. And so, yeah, it's just kind of navigating that you can share some struggles that you have and then being open with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Sandra, thank you so much for joining us. Hearing about your story was incredible. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so I got my Instagram. It's the Sandra Gal. I do talk a lot about my corporate retreats on LinkedIn. So just my name, Sandra Gal. That's, I think, where I find my people that are interested in it. So there's a couple different channels. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, Sandra, thank you so much. This has been an incredible conversation about mindset, performance, and showing up under pressure. And thank you for tuning into the Talk at Elevation. Make sure to like and subscribe and follow for more conversations about game and mindset. And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you, guys.
See ya.